Folks, Roland Martin here, broadcasting Roland Martin Unfiltered from the campus of North Carolina Central University here in Raleigh. I am giving the Rock the Mic speech in about an hour, but of course we still broadcasting live today. Of course, it is January 16th, 2019, and the White House finally condemns the comments of white supremacist Iowa Republican Steve King. Yet Donald Trump says nothing. We'll share it with you. Also, continuing controversy with the third anniversary of the Women's March. The Democratic National Committee, they are pulled out as a sponsor of the march along with the NAACP. It was all because of the co-leaders of the Women's March. Of course, critics say they refuse to denounce Minister Louis Farrakhan. We will explain to you all of the details with this continuing controversy. Also, folks, on Capitol Hill, civil rights groups testified today with regards to the nomination of Donald Trump's nominee for Attorney General, William Barr. We will hear from Mark Morial, the National Urban League, and Derek Johnson of the NAACP. Some contentious moments there on Capitol Hill. Also, a new study says that fast food companies are targeting Black and Latino consumers. Wait until you hear the numbers based upon a study done by 3 university researchers. Also, Larry Dodson of the Barr case, he retired in 2017. Now he says, I am back. My interview with the man who for 47 years was center stage for the Barr case. He said it's time for a solo career. Also, of course, I am here. We'll talk to, of course, the Chancellor of North Carolina Central University about the university and what they are doing to educate HBCU students. And I talked with the CEO of Dherbs Cleanse. Of course, they are one of the partners we have with Roland Martin Unfiltered. And he explains why cleanses are important. It's time to bring the funk from North Carolina on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Let's go. Hey, folks, the hits keep on coming for Iowa. Republican Congressman Steve King, an avowed white supremacist. Of course, remember, he was yesterday condemned by the United States House, stripped of all of his committees the previous day. Now the White House finally is commenting. Here is Press Secretary Sarah Sanders.
Last question is cool. Does he support the condemnation of Steve King, Sarah? Did he support that by the House?
Steve King's comments were abhorrent, and the Republican leadership, unlike Democrats, have actually taken action when their members have said outrageous and inappropriate things. I hope that Democrat leadership will follow the very strong and rightful leadership that the Republicans have done over them.
Does the president still believe it?
Of course, no comment from the tweeter-in-chief. And, of course, Sarah Huckabee Sanders could not help herself taking shots at Democrats, even though Republicans have for a long time allowed the racist comments of Steve King to continue. Also, two newspapers in Iowa are now calling for Steve King to resign his longtime position as a member of Congress. Also, of course, House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy is patting himself on the back. This is what he said for punishing Steve King. Quote, "I knew that I watched past leaders did not act, and I just felt I don't care if it hurts me or not. I just got to do the right thing." Here's the problem with that. The Political Action Committee of Kevin McCarthy gave the re-election campaign of Steve King last year $10,000. Okay, so it's not like these comments from Steve King are new comments. And so that's what, of course, you got going in Capitol Hill. Let's go to, I want to bring in our panel right now. We're joined by Barbara Arnwine for the Transformative Justice Coalition. Also, Andre Perry. He is Metropolitan Policy Program with the Brookings Institution. And Dr. Julianne Malveaux. She is, of course, economist, president emerita of Bennett College. I'll start with you, Andre. And first and foremost, when you see, of course, the White House finally coming around to comment on Steve King, it just speaks volumes how they have been silent since he made those comments on Thursday to the New York Times.
Yeah, and it's amazing that it's taken this long, but remember, his constituency has voted him in time and time again. He's a reflection of America, as is Trump. And so I'm not surprised because pot meets kettle in this regard. Just because Trump has not said white supremacy, what's wrong with it, does not necessarily mean his actions hasn't spoken more loudly than that. So I'm not surprised because in many ways there are peas in a pod.
Barbara?
Well, listen, I have been arguing on Twitter for months before this latest blow up that this man needs to be expelled. Anything short of an expulsion from Congress is insufficient. I don't care if he serves on any committees. I don't care if he's been even censored, which he hasn't, which would have been a better measure. Yes. But he needs to be expelled from Congress. There is no place in our government for this kind of outrageous hate. And let's be clear, not only has he been hateful about American policy, he's interfered internationally on behalf of ethno-nationalists, racists in other countries.
Julianne?
Roland, this censure would have been the appropriate measure. This is absurd. And the absurdity of this is that this man has been doing this for months. Barbara is right. I mean, he is a hateful human being, but more than that, we are living in a hateful time where he just put it out there. As Andre has said, this is a reflection of America. We are in some kind of a cultural war where, let's be clear, by 2050, our nation will be majority, minority. Get over it, y'all. And he's not over it. He's not over it, and that's the problem. But I stand with Bobby Rush.
Yes.
I'm disappointed with the other members of the Congressional Black Caucus. I'm disappointed with white people who say they have conscience but allow this. And I am not disappointed with the orange orangutan because this is the best he can do. Wait 4 days before he has anything to say.
Let's go to our second story, and that is all the drama surrounding the Women's March taking place on Saturday, the third anniversary, of course. And they have been embroiled in a huge row over the last several months over what critics of march organizers, they are calling them harboring anti-Semitic views. Of course, more than 500 organizations were sponsors of the Women's March 3 years ago. That number is now down to 200. Two major groups, Democratic National Committee and the NAACP this week, both have pulled out as sponsors of Saturday's march. The critics say that the march organizers, the leaders of the Women's March, they harbor those anti-Semitic views. They have been targeting specifically Tamika Mallory and then critics say she refuses to condemn Minister Louis Farrakhan. This is Tamika and Bob Bland, two of the co-leaders who appeared on The View on ABC on Monday.
I don't speak for Jewish people, but I think I'm just confused. These remarks are, I mean, it goes on death to Israel over and over again.
We did not make those remarks. You can't
but you're associating with a man who does publicly.
What I will say to you is that I don't agree with many of Minister Farrakhan's statements.
Specifically about Jewish people.
As I said, I don't agree with many of Minister Farrakhan's statements.
You condemn them?
I don't agree with these statements. At the end of the day...
You won't condemn it.
No. To be very clear, it's not my language. It's not the way that I speak. It is not how I organize. And I think it is very clear over the 20 years of my own personal activism, my own personal track record, who I am, and that I should never be judged through the lens of a man. That is actually not what this women's movement is supposed to be about.
I don't want to be judged through the lens of something that's speaking for all women when you're associating with extreme anti-Semitism, and are you comfortable, both of you, being on stage with a Trump supporter, someone who's pro-life, someone who is a very, vociferous...
Yes, we are.
All right, so you're going to have a Trump-supporting woman, conservative pro-life woman on stage with you guys at the next march.
There was absolutely no prerequisite for people coming into the march.
Pro-life women.
We never disinvited.
That's not true.
Folks, Tamika Mallory, of course, she is going to be joining us on Roland Martin Unfiltered tomorrow. But right now, I want to talk to Mary Emily O'Hara. She's an activist. She's been very much involved in all types of politics, and she has been burning up Twitter, condemning those who have been attacking Tamika and others. She joins us right now. Mary Emily, just first off, when you look at this controversy and the calls for Tamika, for Bob Bland, and for others to condemn Minister Louis Farrakhan, just your assessment.
Well, first of all, I don't work with or for the Women's March. I'm a reporter. Right. Even though I can't deny having done some activism in the past, but I don't represent this movement in any way. I wrote a story for Into, which is the publication where I was most recently employed, in December that explored some of the accusations against the Women's March, specifically the insistence that Tamika Mallory condemn, and only that word is being used, condemn Minister Farrakhan. And as I was writing this story, I discovered that she has, both in writing, in op-eds, and verbally, and in statements through the Women's March organization, she has denounced and separated herself from his rhetoric over and over and over again. So when I tweeted that the other day, it was really just an effort to understand why she's not being listened to. She has said this so many times, and we just don't seem to want to hear it. And
of course, it was the organization Tablet, another media outlet that put out this story that many people have been referring to, saying that various folks, women in the movement who are Jewish, were attacked in conversation by Tamika and others. They have denied that came up on The View as well. And you've seen this back and forth, and clearly it has been it has had a negative role here, with a number of organizations who literally are dropping out as sponsors, as well as other individuals who are saying, let's start separate entities, because they have even called for Tamika, Carmen Perez, Linda Sarsour, and Bob Bland to all resign.
Yeah, and I think that seems like a very extreme tack to take, given that the organization and Mallory herself have repeatedly, since at least last March, I've seen the op-eds, I've seen all the statements, they're all collected in the article that I wrote for Into. They have issued statements over and over again saying that neither Women's March nor Mallory agree with Minister Farrakhan's views about Jewish people, about LGBT people, denouncing all of these things that he has said that are the things that are in question, right? So at this point, I am just starting to wonder why we can't just accept that. It has been said over and over and over again. And it's starting to get a little bit weird.
You earlier you talked about the focus on the word condemn. And that's what Meghan McCain kept wanting her to say. You think, and I remember during the 2008 presidential election, when Louis Farrakhan, on his own, endorsed then Senator Barack Obama. And in one of those debates, I believe it was Tim Russert and Brian Williams, and they wanted, and it was like, do you reject the endorsement? Do you condemn Minister Farrakhan? Do you think that critics want to hear her publicly say, I condemn Minister Louis Farrakhan? Do you think that's what the issue is?
I think if that is the issue, if we're not willing to listen to someone when they say, I reject it, I denounce it, I don't agree with it, and it's really that semantic, it's just about this idea of condemnation, then that is just bizarre. I mean, I've never used that kind of language myself in my entire life. I've never said to anyone, I condemn you. And there's something about it that semantically is almost like we're asking her to put a curse on this guy, but I think that there are underlying issues here that need to be discussed as well. Like a lot of these criticism against Mallory, frankly, are coming from white women, and I have not seen a lot of people from within the Black community criticize her in the same way for her connection to Farrakhan. And I think that there is a point at which white people should take a step back and ask ourselves, what do we really know about Louis Farrakhan's role in the African-American community? Personally, my personal opinion is that he is a rampant anti-Semite. I've seen some of the things that he said. He has said horrible things about Jewish people. He has said horrible things about Israel. I don't know what his deal is with Jews in Israel. I don't know what it is. But I also know that the Nation of Islam and Farrakhan himself have served a role in the African-American community that has been in many ways positive, has been empowering for a lot of people. And if Tamika Mallory grew up in a community and a family that had connections to the Nation of Islam, and she's known that her whole life, it is not my place to tell her that she has to separate herself entirely. Like, for example, I'm an Irish Catholic woman. I am an out lesbian. I work in LGBT media. It's sort of like, to me, it's what we're asking Mallory to do is sort of like asking me to condemn the Pope. I don't really have that much control over what the Pope does and says. And just because I was raised in a Catholic background, does that mean that I personally am responsible for everything that Catholicism has ever said and done? No, and I don't think that Mallory should be held responsible for everything that Minister Louis Farrakhan has ever said or done.
All right, journalist Mary Emily O'Hara, we shall appreciate you joining us. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
All right, then. Folks, I want to go to this story here that's pretty interesting. That is, a new study shows that fast food and candy advertisers are targeting black and brown folks more than whites. They do this through advertising on television shows that appeal specifically to African Americans and Latinos. Check this Wendy's spot, which features black teenagers identifying as targeted to them.
Introducing Wendy's new Giant Junior Bacon Cheeseburger.
It's a Giant Junior?
Yeah, it's the deliciously different Junior Bacon Cheeseburger made giant. With double the fresh, never frozen beef, double the oven-baked bacon, and double the cheese. It's a Junior that's made a big name for itself. It's a Giant!
Junior.
And now, for a limited time, get the Giant Junior Bacon Cheeseburger with fries, nuggets, and a drink for just $5.
Folks, here's some of the key findings from this study done by the UConn Rutt Center for Food Policy and Obesity. Black children and teens each viewed an average of more than 16 food-related ads per day in 2017, compared to 8.8 ads per day for white children and 7.8 ads for white teens. Black children and teens saw approximately 2.5 times as many candy ads as white children and teens. I want to bring in my panel right now, and I want to start with you, Julian. And let's deal with this reality, because we saw this previously with black media outlets when it came to the issue of cigarettes. Mm-hmm. And many people said, oh, my goodness, these tobacco companies, they're targeting African Americans. And growing up, if you looked at Ebony Magazine, if you looked at Essence, you looked at Black Enterprise, you saw these ads. But what folks don't also want to talk about is that the major car manufacturers, the high-end manufacturers, and many other advertisers would not advertise in these various outlets. And so when you think about black media outlets, and I've worked in 12 now different outlets, the reality is when you think about fast food restaurants, companies with sugary products, they have been more inclined to advertise and support various events in black media than, frankly, a lot of other advertisers. And so I think we have to look at this just beyond just the idea of saying, oh, they're targeting blacks and Latinos, to also understand the advertising culture of who supports and who doesn't black media.
Well, Roland, this is one of the reasons why we admire you so much for basically creating an alternative platform where you have the opportunity to choose, to pick and choose who advertises with you, understanding that this is all about predatory capitalism and basically extracting surplus value from people. We have an obesity problem in the African-American community. More than half of all African-American women, according to some of those standards, now according to one of them, I'm obese, which whatever. But based on those charts, more than half of us black women are obese. There's an obesity problem among our children. And so to basically document the fact that someone is pushing 4 strips of bacon, 2 nasty hamburgers, a bunch of cheese in bread, in white bread. It was white bread, too. Just saying. But they're doing what they're supposed to do. They're extracting surplus value. We have 2 issues. Number one, they're not putting a gun to anybody's head to say, you have to eat that hamburger. If you did, you'd go to the White House and be like, Clemson or something. But number 2, the issue is we have to really talk about those who do not advertise in our community and what our media outlets are stuck with in terms of who comes to them. No newspaper, no magazine, no BET or TV1 is going to turn the advertising away because they need it, because that's how they survive. And so, again, kudos to you for what you do, but kudos to us, those people who are lifting up consciousness about the bad eating habits in our community and the extent to which they will kill us.
Andre, I want to go to you because, again, the study is critically important and it raises critical issues. But, again, as somebody who has worked in black media, I'm also understanding of when you have a media company, you got to have advertising dollars to survive. And if other companies are ignoring black folks and these companies are targeting them, there's a reason black media companies, you will talk to those companies, because guess what? Others refuse to even advertise with us. If other companies advertise with black media, they wouldn't have to take as many ads.
Absolutely.
Andre.
So there are a couple of things that are at play. One, media outlets and people in them harbor the same biases as and stereotypes that exist nationally. And so there is a perception that blacks do want these kinds of foods, and it does influence our behavior. Likewise, there is a socioeconomic component to this. Black actors, black advertisers need business, and they're going to find it any way they can. And so when you see food deserts particularly in urban communities, and the only shop in town is McDonald's or Burger King and things like that, they're going to market as much as possible to make sure those products get out to those communities. But again, this is a vicious cycle. You have advertisers who are racially biased, and it does influence behavior.
Barbara.
Yes, well, you know, racially predatory practices are just a problem that prevails within our community, within this society. And this is just one of them. I want to point out that there was a study, I don't know if people saw it, that came out, you know, in the last month that showed that more people are buying food from dollar stores than the whole sales market for Whole Foods. That just tells you.
Dollar stores are in our communities, Barbara, and the Whole Foods isn't.
Right, and it means also that that if you're buying from dollar stores, there's no fruit, no fresh vegetables. That means, you know, certain levels of healthy eating is not available. I do think this is a challenge to our community, that ultimately we have to start preaching, start teaching, start advocating for much more wholesome eating. And I do that in my house. I mean, I have to talk to people in my own household. I'm like, SpaghettiOs? What is that? You know, come on, let's cook some real food. So, you know, you have to really work on this, and I think it's a real problem. These targeting, though, of African-American youth and our children, because what you eat is what you think, is how you live. None of that makes sense. So it's urgent that we, you know, not only engage these companies in changing what they're doing, but also that we also look for other ways of organizing to make our communities more healthy.
And that's why we want to, again, expand the conversation. First of all, folks, thanks a lot. Folks, again, I'm here in North Carolina Central speaking at their Rock the Mic conversation. Of course, looking forward to talk with their students a little bit later. Joining us right now is the Chancellor, Joseph Gotch Johnson. And so, first of all, Doc, you know, you're looking smooth over here. I got to tell you that here. I got to tell you that. First and foremost, so how long you been Chancellor?
Well, it's been about 3 years now. Right. I was interim, and then, of course, you know, altogether about 3 years.
What we have seen, of course, and we cover these stories all the time in terms of what is happening with HBCUs, the impact when it comes to students with enrollment. How are you faring after all the trauma, let's just be honest, HBCUs went through when it came to the change in the financial aid under the Obama administration?
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Martin. You know, it's a pleasure to have you on our campus, by the way, and I've been a long-time fan of yours. Tom John and all of that. In fact, seeing you guys in post, you know, long ago. So again, we thank you. It's always been a challenge, particularly for HBCUs. As you know, a large percentage of our students are always on Pell Grant. That's known. And usually, most of them are, you know, first-generation students. And so we rely heavily on Pell and other federal sources of money. So whenever these things are challenged, we are challenged. Here at NCCU, we've been very fortunate. We consider ourselves a premier HBCU because of our brand. We do attract students. For the last 3 years, we have been growing. Right now, our enrollment stands about 8,200 plus students. And last year, our graduate program grew by 10%. And as you know, we have a premier law school. And then, of course, we also have 2 major research centers on our campus. Biopharmaceutical research institute, right, where we do drug discovery. And then we have the Biomedical Biosciences Research Institute on our campus where we do cancer research. So we are a major institution and we've been drawing students. We have not experienced, a decline in enrollment, but we can always use additional funding. So we are pleased to have the extension of the 2-year extension for summer Pell. That's been very helpful to us, but that needs to be on an ongoing basis. We had a bit of a slight challenge with Title III. We are thankful for all of those who rally around our institutions and got that money approved. We got an increase in it. We hope that will continue. A lot of our schools rely on Title III funding. So there are other sources of fund that we need to make sure that federal funds that we need to make sure that we continue to receive because of the high level of need for our students.
And we're also seeing, of course, we're seeing folks understand, many HBCUs, that, look, the competition for students is also fierce. And so how are you also letting your folks know how critically important it is to market the university, to market your professors, to market those individuals and say, look, when you come here are, award-winning professors who are doing this and doing this and doing this, because that's also what also is attractive to students.
Absolutely. I mean, you have you put your finger on it. We can no longer take our students for granted. Many of our students now do have options. They can go to PWIs, and in order for us to be competitive, we have to tell our stories. We offer things that students can find anywhere. We prepare our students culturally, psychologically, emotionally. We attend to all of that. We also have award-winning programs, academic programs. And as you mentioned, we have very, very high caliber faculty and staff. So our institutions are increasingly spending money on marketing and communications. And we have a special budget for that here. You will see us on billboards as you travel 40 and 85. We are also heavily engaged in Facebook and other forms of social media whereby we can reach the students. So we have we also have a lot of publications that come out of NCCU where we tell our stories. And you are right. We have to be sure that our students know that our institutions can compete, and we are competing. We're just not just an HBCU. We are comprehensive institutions like you find as well. So we are mounting an aggressive recruitment. Here at NCCU, we receive over 15,000 applications a year. We can't take them all, but we are out there, and you are correct. We need to be able to tell our stories, and we're doing so.
I created a hashtag HBCU Giving Day as a way to encourage folks to give to HBCUs, but also alumni. What is your alumni giving in terms of percentage?
Right now, we're doing very well. We're about 12% right now,
which is a very high for a lot of HBCUs.
Exactly right. It's very high for HBCUs, but when you actually look at numbers, that's percentage.
Right.
We're doing better in numbers, than percentage. So it's good. It could be better. And all credits due to our alumni. They are giving. They're doing the best that they can. And as you know, scholarship is our number one priority for the reasons that I've given earlier to you. Our students are working. More than 75% of them are engaged in either half-time or full-time employment. So we do need scholarship money. The other types of needs that we have that we don't talk about enough is infrastructure needs, because most of our campuses are aging. And for instance, here, we were established in 1910. We're 100 plus years. Many of the buildings on our campuses are old, and they do require repair and renovations. And so we need to set money aside to be sure that we can keep conducive facilities that are decent, that provide an atmosphere for learning for our students. So yes, we need scholarship, and we thank you for establishing, that initiative for us. We can do more. And we talk to our alumni, and they're doing well, but we can do better in those areas.
Well, that was one of the reasons why, again, when, I've spoken a lot of HBCU campuses, and I've done my shows from there because, one, it's free publicity. And, again, for people who don't know the story. And so I'm so certainly glad to be here. Looking forward to chatting with the students tonight, and certainly good luck in all that you're doing here.
Well, we appreciate you coming here. We thank you for coming to visit with our students. They are waiting for you. They're excited to see you. And we know that you will motivate and challenge them.
All right. Well, I certainly appreciate it, Doc. Thank you so very much. Likewise. All right, folks. And so here's the deal. I'm going to step away, but there's still more Roland Martin Unfiltered. Of course, coming up, Larry Dodson, a long time. 47 years he was a front man for the Barcades. Well, Larry Dodson is retiring, but he retired 2 years ago, but now he's coming out of retirement. And so you're going to hear my interview with him, and also the CEO of Dherbs, one of our partners, of course, the leading cleanse in the country. You're going to hear from Dr. A.D. Dolphin, explain exactly why that cleanse is important and what it also does for us physically when it comes to our health. We're just having a conversation about all that fast food. It flushes all that stuff out of your system. And so that's it for me, broadcasting here from North Carolina Central. I'm going to try to set up my stuff a little bit later to live stream my speech tonight for the Rock the Mic series. And let me first of all thank Barbara Onwine, Andre, as well as Julian for being on our panel. I hate that it was shorter than we normally do. But again, I literally got to hit the stage in about 20 minutes. And so, again, coming up next, the Roland Martin Unfiltered, Larry Dodson and the CEO of Dherbs, Black CEO, owner, running the show. And also, they are one of our partners, one of our advertisers. Another reasons why we created this platform to also promote Black-owned businesses, Black colleges and Black-owned businesses. I'm Roland Martin. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
This is the moment y'all been waiting on. As y'all know, I am retiring. Oh, listen, wait a minute. And for the last year, we've had a worldwide search, not just in the U.S., but a worldwide search for somebody to take my place. Oh, I know it's been bittersweet, but I've been here for 47 years. But let me tell you the good news. We've looked all over the world, we've looked all over the 50 states, and the search has brought us right here to Memphis, Tennessee.
All right, Larry Dodson, glad to have you here on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Now, I emceed the concert where you announced your retirement from the Barcades. You said you wanted to spend more time with your children and your wife. Now, what's the deal? They telling you, get the hell out of the house, you driving us crazy?
No, it's not that bad, Roland. I tell you what, all I can say is the fans were right and I was wrong. They everybody said, Larry, you're not going to last out. We'll give you 6 months. And I lasted a little long. It's been a little over a year, but Roland, I miss it so very much. And man, I have so many fans that have called. It's been letters and emails, and people from the business have just said, why in the world did you ever leave? And, I talked to my family and I prayed and I said, you know what, I missed this too much. I would be lying to myself if I sat up here and said I'm going to write books and that's going to be the end of it. I am back and I am too excited. But I will share something with you. When I decided to do this, I started secretly rehearsing. I have a brand new band. I put a whole show together. Over the last 4 months, I've been really secretly. I did everybody under non-disclosure. They couldn't talk about it or anything. So I've been preparing myself, Roland, and I'm ready to go. And I'm back out here, and it's called the Larry D. Return to Burn Tour, and that's what I'm returning to do. Burn.
Now you were with the Barcades for how long?
I've been center stage with the Barcades for 47 years.
47 years, and of course, like I say, at that concert, and we're rolling a video right now of the transition where they unveiled the new lead singer for the Barcades. I interviewed the both of you about that. And as a matter of fact, for all the folks out there, so here's some of that interview.
So Larry, first and foremost, what was it about this guy that he was the one?
Roland, we looked everywhere, high and low. Chris J has a soul. He's a sponge. He's a student of the game. He's a scholar. He's a student of this thing we call R&B, soul, funk music. He's got everything we were looking for. He admires the Barcade. No, he loves the Barcade.
That's right.
And that's very important. It wasn't about the money with him at all. All those factors came into play. There were a lot of guys who auditioned for this role. And Chris was just the guy we wanted.
Thank you.
Coming from Memphis, Tennessee was a plus.
How does it feel replacing a legend?
Man, it's big shoes, man. I don't know if you can get that, but I'm just gonna put some toes in there first, and then I'm gonna put a couple more toes until I be able to, man, do what Larry do, man. 47 years legend, man. Trendsetter, snake, throwing fire. Back in the day, man, the '60s. Come on, man. I don't even know. I don't even feel. I feel like I won a Super Bowl. And I don't even play football, but Larry, man, thank you, and James, and the entire Barcade family, the fans. I love the fans. Larry fans, would y'all please become my fans?
You heard him tonight.
And then
did he do all right, guys?
You made a good choice, Bob.
I want the millennials. I want the millennials to know that funk music is still alive.
There you go. There you go.
All the rap and all that stuff, you still can have funk music and have fun. So millennials, y'all come with us, man. We're gonna take y'all there. I'm telling you.
New music is coming out on this kid. New music coming out on first quarter. New music on the Barcade. New sound. Barcade's reloaded. All right.
So Larry, so obviously the Barcades continues with their new lead singer.
Absolutely.
Had you told any of them that, hey, you know what, I'm coming back on the road?
Nobody knew. Nobody. I said that January 1st I was going to release it through my PR firm. I was going to make a press release and that everybody knew at the same time. Nobody has known anything about this. The Barcades. I talked to James about 2 weeks ago. That was the first that he actually knew anything about it. And he blessed me. He said, Larry, I'm so proud of you. And we talked about it, and he was surprised, but James and I have been together. You got to understand, this is something that's deeper than the stage or anything. He totally got it, and we took a long time to find somebody when I decided to retire to take my place. So the Barcades are in good hands. In case people are wondering, why didn't you go back to the Barcades? The Barcades are in good hands. James and I own that band and the whole business part of it. But it's in good hands. This is something that I want to do. And I really don't owe anybody any explanations for it. I've given the Barcades 2/3 of my life.
Right.
And as probably as Lionel did when he left, and Jeffrey did when he left, and Sugarfoot did when he left, rest his soul. It's a decision that a guy makes and says, you know what, I want to see what's out there for me on my own. And I'll be out there doing all the stuff the Barcades do, all the songs that have made the Barcades and myself popular. So if you're wondering if I'm going to do that, yes, I will be doing the Barcade stuff. Absolutely right. And some other stuff that I've been longing to do all my life.
So you said, but now you said that you and James still own the business side of the Barcades. And so while that's going, I mean, you still, I mean, that is a business thing. But explain to people, what is it about that stage that is so alluring and that brought you back?
Roland, and if you can understand it, and my audience out there, my fans, if you can understand this, that's my paradise. That's the one place I feel like I'm totally in charge. It's what I do. I've done 30 albums, Roland. I Googled myself once, and I was amazed at how much music I've actually been involved in. I mean, I did it one time. I'm a humble guy, so I'd never done it before. My mouth fell open. I never knew I've been involved in so much music. We've done gold albums, been inducted into the R&B Hall of Fame, the Smithsonian, just a lot of stuff. But while you're doing it, you don't think about that. But I miss it so very much more than I thought I would. And I said, you know what? Rick James gone, Sugarfoot's gone, George says he's going to retire, Prince is gone. Somebody's got to stay out there funking, man. I got to go back. I got to funk, and that's what it's on me. That's what's in me. That's what's on me. And people miss it. They let me know they missed it.
So I remember we were on the Tom Joyner cruise, and we're playing that video right now as well when they brought a cake out and when you talked about your retirement, and Frankie Beverly, he came out there as well, and Frankie said, look, hold up, now I ain't retiring.
Okay, you retiring? Am I retiring? No. Larry Dodson gonna retire? No. It makes no sense. But I'm gonna go along with it.
And so it's funny that as you talk about, you know, coming back, and when you think about Frankie being 72, 73, Eddie Levert being 78 years old, I think Eddie would be 79 in June. When you think about these other artists, I mean, the reality is, I think for the public, folks don't realize that, you know, if you've been singing since you were a kid, I mean, you're talking about, look, that is your whole life. And the reality is, as long as you can still get up, as long as you can still do it. I mean, I think about B.B. King. You know, when he passed away, he had left the stage only 2 or 3 months earlier before he passed away. And we often see that when musicians, that they still just keep going until God calls them home.
You better know it, man. And you know what, Ron, you know what, I tell you something that was very encouraging. Charlie Wilson called me, and I hadn't told him. Charlie and I are real good friends. Mm-hmm. Charlie called me, and I said, and I call him C. I said, C, can you keep a secret? He said, yeah, what's up? I said, I'm going back on stage. He said, what? But he told me, and we talked about an hour. He said, if anybody can do it, he said, but Larry, it's going to be tough. He said, it's almost like starting all over again. He said, but it's going to be tough. But he said, if anybody can do it, you can do it. And Charlie has shown me that it can be done. Yep. It can be done. A lot of hard work. And Charlie is a true and living example of somebody who's been through the muck and the mire, and God has truly, truly blessed him. And ain't nothing wrong with me, man. I didn't have anything wrong. I wasn't mad with James, wasn't mad with the band. I don't have any heart ailments, no health ailments. My wife and I've been married 48 years, you know. And my wife and I just said we were going to just retire and stop. And my daughter's Down syndrome, spend some more time. I meant every word. Mm-hmm. And I thought I could just sit and do this and write 2 more books, and which we're doing now, and call it a night and call it a day with the stage. But I can't, you know. It's in me. I got new music I'm getting ready to do. All right. And if you can feel it in my spirit, in my voice, you see I'm so excited, man.
Oh, yeah. Well, look, I'm looking forward to seeing you back on stage, and let me know if you need somebody to MC the concert. I'll be there for you.
Oh, you the man. You the man. You did a great job, and you got some more logs to throw in the fire yourself, okay? I
appreciate it, Larry Dodson. Thanks so much. We're looking forward to you being back on stage.
Be well, man. Thank you.
All right, take care. You want to check out Roland Martin Unfiltered? YouTube.com/Roland S. Martin. And subscribe to our YouTube channel. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. See that name right there? Roland Martin Unfiltered. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's YouTube.com/Roland S. Martin. And don't forget to turn on your notifications so when we go live, you'll know it. So we know so many folks in the new year are trying to get themselves fit, trying to change their lifestyle, their eating habits, trying to exercise more, trying to meditate more. And so it's all about having a healthy temple. And of course, I told you that I started this cleanse with Dherbs at the beginning of the year, actually about 10 days ago. And so this is the 3rd time that I've done it. And so, of course, Dherbs is one of our partners here at Roland Martin Unfiltered. And so we wanted to have a conversation with the CEO of the company, Dr. A.D. Dolphin. Doc, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great.
So let's talk. First of all, what is the health value of a cleanse? What does it do for you?
It's going to help you clean out your system.
Now, what does that mean?
That means, like, basically, over time, your body can develop gook in its system, and it's going to help you remove it in simplest terms.
And so, and that's based upon the stuff that we eat, so that we consume.
Just think about the things that we eat, our environment, the pollution, the things we drink, the sugary drinks, the alcohol. All these things have a certain buildup, and this allows your body to remove it.
Okay. And so, so you have what, 2 cleanses, 10-day and 20-day?
We actually have 27 cleanses.
Okay, got it.
But this is the cleanse that you would basically start off with, which is the 20-day and also the 10-day.
Okay.
Either one.
All right. So when we talk about these cleanses, so let's go over here. So here are the various pills that we take. Now, first of all, there's 6 different pills. So we got cardiovascular, kidney, bladder, and adrenals, blood and lymphatic, lungs and respiratory, colon and digestive tract, liver, spleen, and gallbladder.
Yes.
Okay. So now you developed this.
Yes.
And so it was based on what? Why did you say, you know what, I really need to develop this cleanse?
Well, these are based upon your basic eliminative channels. So these are the eliminative channels men and women are both going to have. So therefore, the cleanse is fit for both.
Okay. And so you take these pills, 5 pills, one set each day for a total of 30 pills.
Yes.
And so so by taking these and then drinking lots of water, what is it actually doing? What is it doing to your body? What is it? Describe that process.
Okay, so basically what it's going to do for each one of those individual organs that it speaks of, that is going to actually help provide more energy so that particular organ can do more for your body, allowing it to clean out itself.
Okay, and so our body also removes stuff in what different ways? So, I mean, obviously...
Yeah, so you got your skin. Your skin is the biggest organ in your body. More things actually pass through your skin than your actual bowels. And then, so that's one way. Then we got other things as far as breathing, your respiratory system. Then, of course, the other one is your, going to the restroom.
Okay, and on this cleanse, it's all raw. So raw vegetables, but also fruits.
Yes, fresh fruits and vegetables, raw nuts and raw seeds. So you're on a raw food diet.
Okay, and when you're taking these, when you talk about the, so I got to ask you this. So I posted a photo on YouTube.
Okay.
Of a fruit plate that I had for breakfast.
Right.
And then, of course, everybody thinks they're a doctor, and so folks are going, "Oh my God, that's way too much sugar."
You know what? I always try to tell people don't understand that there's a lot of studies now that, especially when people talk about the sugar issue, is that if you actually go raw, you can help turn diabetes 1, type 1, you can actually change that for themselves. You got to remember, God put this stuff on the planet. This stuff is not going to hurt you. This is not pharmaceutical drugs in any way, shape, or form. These are natural sugars that your body can withstand.
So it's not processed, and so
there you go.
Again, so I'm not. First of all, I'm not a vegetable person. Okay, I mean, my wife knows it, my family knows it.
Right.
I can't stand vegetables.
Right.
And so my whole deal is, okay, thank God for fruits. Thank God that I can actually eat pineapples, blackberries, blueberries, strawberries, raspberries.
Right.
Are bananas allowed?
Absolutely.
Okay, bananas, green apples.
There you go.
I'm trying to think. Watermelon.
Any fruits and vegetables that your heart desires, you can have on this cleanse, and there's no limit on the amount of food that you can eat.
And then the nuts. Again, first of all, I've hated nuts all my life. I mean, I just did. So I forced myself, I said, out of all the nuts, to tolerate pecans.
Okay.
And luckily they have the Sahela, I think it's called mix. I got some in my office.
Right.
So basically, it's like cherry, almond, apple, and pecan.
Okay.
And that mix.
Okay.
Thank God for that.
Right.
Okay, so there's a little sweetness to it, but the thing about it is, but this is also, again, it's a process. It's a mind of a matter because, I mean, look, you want to eat meat or you want to eat cereal or whatever, and so it's like training yourself. Okay, I cannot have that. I cannot, okay, I just got to stay away from it.
But you got to kind of keep in mind that you were trained, you were already programmed. You're programmed now that you need eggs, you need pancakes, you need these things. So you actually have to go through a reprogramming of yourself. Fruits and vegetables, especially fruit in the morning, is great for your body because it's going to give your body that energy that it needs to get through the day. If you ever notice, when you eat a breakfast, especially a heavy breakfast, it tends to tone you down. It tends to make you tired because now your body has to take time to process that. This is going to keep you moving.
But also for the people who don't understand, I mean, the traditional large breakfast was meant for a different society. That was when folks were working in manufacturing facilities and in plants or working out in fields, and so you burned that breakfast off by the time lunch came.
No, that's really true. We definitely live in a different lifestyle currently, but actually your largest meal should be lunch.
Okay, why is that? So why is the largest meal lunch?
The largest meal is lunch because, first of all, you don't want to get too sluggish in the beginning of your day, and you don't want to get too sluggish before you go to sleep because of the fact that you don't want all that on your body prior to sleep. So the best time to have the biggest meal of the day, which is in the middle of the day, which is lunchtime.
Okay, so I'm on this 20-day cleanse. Okay, well, let me also go over this.
Okay.
What is the value of carbon-activated charcoal?
Oh,
because I can tell you it's horrible drinking it, but what's the value? And I'll be perfectly honest. I'll be perfectly honest with you. I have not tried it. No, I've tried it before, but on this cleanse I have not tried it. I said, you know what? I'm going to have to ask him before I...
You know what?
What's the value of it?
You are making the biggest mistake by not taking that.
What does this do?
Let me tell you that. So anytime, anybody that goes to the hospital and they're suffering from any kind of overdose, that's what they give them.
Okay.
Because it pulls all of the poisons out of your gut. So the things that the aspirins, the pharmaceutical drugs that you've taken in the past, all that history, it pulls it out of your gut, and then you're going to take formula number 6, and in the morning you're going to rid yourself of that waste.
So I do this before number 6?
Huh? No, this is the last part of. But in the morning, number 6 is the one that makes you go in the morning. So this is the last thing that you
number
take.
6, that's
so this is number 7. No. It's the colon formula. See? Formula number 6, the colon formula.
Right, but that's 7 p.m.
Right. But then you're going to take this prior to going to sleep.
No, I got it. So what you're saying is you're taking the formula number 6 before, and then you're going to take this, but when you wake up in the morning...
It's going to flush it all out.
There you go, the colon digestive tract. Got it. Because I was sitting there going...
It's just black. It's black, but it doesn't have a flavor at all. Right. It's a little grainy, but that's it. Okay, no flavor.
The only thing that I would suggest, this is just y'all, as a consumer from packaging, the only other problem is that once you open this, the problem is it gets all over the place.
It does. It can. So if you're not aware of the situation. So I'm glad you're exposing this to people because that's one of the products that you got to treat with a little bit of care. You got to just take your time, open it, set it to the side.
Okay, so here's the question. Okay, so I have enough here. Go through the 20-day cleanse.
Right.
I have not used it yet. Okay, so let's say when the 20-day cleanse is over. Okay, can I still keep doing this?
Absolutely. In Africa, you know what they do with activated charcoal? It's a natural teeth whitener. So you can actually brush it on your teeth. I know it's black, but it's actually going to clean your teeth.
What? So you can put... are you saying...
Put a little toothpaste on it, you dip it inside, you brush your teeth with it. It's going to help whiten your teeth. And along with that process, we already know it's going to pull the poisons out of your gut.
So, before this, what were you doing?
Before this, what I was doing?
On the medical side.
On the medical side, nothing. I wasn't doing anything on the medical side. I ran several businesses my whole entire life. So I had a real estate company. I had a training business that taught kids how to play basketball. I've had probably every business under the sun.
So where did this come from?
Where did this come from? I actually met a herbalist that I really liked. And, you know, I began gaining weight when I was, after I stopped playing basketball. I used to play professional basketball in Australia. And I gained weight, and I did the cleanse, and it changed me. It really did. It had a profound effect on me. And then, so then I started doing everyone's cleanse. And then I noticed that I had such a wonderful experience. Felt like all of them had something missing. So I needed to add. I felt like I could put together a cleanse. So therefore, I hired a herbal team. And I found an herbalist that I really, really liked. And we began to put together this product. And this product has been in existence for the last 15 years. And we're the #1 selling cleanse on the planet.
I have on it now 10 days. So I've lost about 12 pounds. And so in your brochure, you say folks lose anywhere from 10 to 30 pounds.
Right, depending on the condition of your body. So if you're already in amazing shape, then you're not going to have that same experience. But if you're the average American, 70% of the average Americans are obese. So they are going to lose between 10 to 30 pounds for sure.
Okay, and so once you go through the cleanse, you're done. Right. You're done. And folks want to run out and get them a slab of ribs. Okay, what do you then tell them that they should do once the cleanse is over to sort of, because you've been on this raw, just fruits and vegetables, right? But now you can eat whatever. But what do you tell them to do?
So after you finish the cleanse, this is probably the most amazing experience that you could have, because now you get to pick your diet. Because the things that you used to be addicted to, you're no longer addicted to. The things that you used to be drawn to, you're no longer drawn to them. This allows you to pick your diet. A lot of us didn't pick our diets. Our parents picked it for us. So this gives you the opportunity, because you're not so addicted to those things anymore, to pick the diet that you want to live. It gives you the ability to choose your new lifestyle.
So, but the point is, you don't want people just losing their mind and just going and getting a 3 and a 4 piece and everything else.
You won't. After you go through this experience, it's like climbing Mount Everest. You're not going to turn around and just jump out the window again. Nah, you're going to take it slow. You just lost 30 pounds. Now you're feeling great. You have more energy than you've ever had. You're trying to find a way to actually retain that feeling.
Now, how often do you recommend folks doing a cleanse? I know some people who do it once a year.
Right.
I've heard others who do it 2 or 3 or 4 times a year. Is that?
Absolutely. Some people do it every seasonal change. That's what you're referring to. You got some people who do it once a year. So it really depends on how well you eat. If you eat very poorly, do as often as you can, because you can do it as much as you can. This is not a normal cleanse. Most cleanses, they say, where you have to drink some special concoction. You have to starve yourself. You don't have to do that. You can eat as much as you like on this cleanse. We just trying to get you to eat healthier foods.
Of the folks who've done it, what kind of changes have you actually seen?
Oh, man. God, I've seen people that's, suffering from things. Their body begins to recover. I've seen people lose up to 42 pounds on one cleanse in 20 days.
Wow.
I've seen people have more energy than they ever had. I've seen people, the list goes on. It really depends on what you're going through, what your experience is going to be.
Okay, and what I said is, so when you say you have the regimen, so take the first one at 7 a.m., but you also say take the last one at 7 p.m. That's always an issue for me because of my work schedule. Right. So I actually wake up later. So typically, I might wake up around 9 or 10. Or like, for instance, when I do my Tom Joyner segment, it's Mondays and Wednesdays. It's at 7, but then I go back to sleep because, again, I'm doing my show from 6 to 7 evening. Is part of this also you're trying to get people not to eat late?
No. Actually, this is built for the average person, so it's not necessarily built for you. Because some people have, they wake up they have to be at work between 9 and 8, and they go to sleep around 10. It's for that person. But you can always adjust the time of the schedule when you're supposed to take the capsules.
Why 2 to 3 hours a gap?
Because that's how long it takes you to process food within your system.
Okay. All right, then. Well, Doc, we certainly appreciate it. We'll definitely see what happens at the end of the 20 days. It has been quite interesting, all the fruits. But I will say this here: Thank goodness for fruit smoothies where I can actually take that spinach organic mix of green stuff that I normally would not eat and at least put it in a blender and put it with some fruit and I can actually drink it.
There you go.
So J.J. Smith and her green smoothie, she actually got me started on that because before I'm like, I'm not doing this. But Doc, we appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Absolutely.
All right.
Have a good one.
You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com.